How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL stream here. I don't even have time to do a title today. I've been so busy. But yeah, we got a nice stream going on here. We have some new FPL assets we could potentially be talking about. We're going to be talking about Arsenal winning the Community Shield as well, and how that game kind of played out. Some preseason games we can kind of take a look at as well. And in the latest news, United seem to have signed Donnie Van Der Beek from Ajax, so we can kind of talk about all those different things that have been going on. And yeah, let's check it all out. Not sure why the transition kind of bugged out there, but okay, we will go on forward. So the internet's been acting up just a little bit today, so if I do glitch just slightly, it should be fine overall, because it's going to be mostly a still image for the majority of it here. So yeah, I've changed the team up quite a bit, just kind of changed some things around, kind of messing around with some stuff. No team that you see on the screen is final. I will be doing a video with like different drafts that I'm considering. I'll do like I guess like a top 3. That'll probably be, let's see, what day will that be? The season starts on the 12th, so I'll probably do it. It'll probably be part of like the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday video of like the drafts that I'm considering, and then Friday I'll make up my mind and basically make a video for that. So yeah, we'll check that one out when we get there. But for now, it's just a bunch of tinkering that we're gonna be doing. So yeah. Looking forward to it. So yeah, this is the team I've kind of put up on the screen. So the thing, firstly, I want to talk about is just some of like the cheaper assets that we could potentially be looking at just in general. So I'm just going to bring up the transfers in a different tab here. So if we're looking at goalkeepers, and we're just going to mainly be looking at 4.5 or less goalkeepers for the most part, because that's just going to be pretty much mainly what we're kind of dealing with here in for the most part. 5 million goalkeepers and up, although, you know, Ramsdale looks a bit nice at 5 million for Sheffield United. Not great overall in my opinion. You could be spending your money wisely elsewhere. So Matt Ryan, obviously we know, has like okay fixtures, not great though. McCarthy's looking like the best 4.5 just because his fixtures all the way up until basically Christmas time look pretty good. Heaton is still out, but is expected back October 17th, so may be able to get some games out of the backup, which is Nyland at the moment. And then a bunch of other goalkeepers just not really looking good, to be honest. You know, we thought that maybe since Dubravka was out for Newcastle, we could potentially have the likes of I can't remember what his name was. I think it's Darlow, I believe his name is for Newcastle. If we just go and check that really quickly. Where's it to? Darlow. Oh, Darlow's 5 million, even worse. So yeah, not looking great there in terms of a backup goalkeeper there. Dubravka's supposed to be out for, I think it's a month or two. So that might not be good for Newcastle defense, considering he was their best player pretty much for the majority of last season. So in terms of goalkeepers, we're kind of strapped in terms of what we can and cannot use, basically. In terms of defenders, we have a lot more options, though. So I'm just going to look at the 4 million defenders here. So Branthwaite could potentially get a starting place in the Everton team. We're potentially looking at him. A lot of West Ham fans have been talking about Ben Johnson, have been praising him quite a lot, saying that he could be, starting this season. I believe he plays right back, from what we can tell. Mitchell is another one. We have the likes of Patrick Van Arnold, who is out currently. He's still recovering from the dislocated shoulder, so he's going to be out for a few weeks more before the start of the season. Martinez, yep, that's right, Gunners. He's a 4.5 goalkeeper, but there's still some kind of speculation that even though he did play in like the Community Shield, that Leno's still going to come back in for the start of the season, potentially. I wouldn't risk it personally, because if you go, let's say you go Martinez and you go 4.0 goalkeeper, that you know is not going to play, then could have some issues there. So it is a risk, but Arsenal's first couple of fixtures are quite good. So you have Fulham away, West Ham at home, but then they get pretty bad. You know, Liverpool away, they probably expect to concede. Sheffield United, they probably will concede. Man City away, almost certainly. Leicester at home, probably will concede. United away, probably concede. So you're thinking game week 3 through 7, you're not going to get any clean sheets from Martinez, most likely. And then he has obviously a lot better run from game week 8 till game week 27. And by then, we'll know who the goalkeeper is. So if you want to bring him in then yeah, sure. Makes sense to me. But getting back to defenders, Mitchell is someone who was much like Ferguson, who was supposed to be playing, instead of who would normally start there. So Ferguson was brought in to play right back. He's now picked up an injury. He could be out for a few weeks. And then we also have Mitchell, who we mentioned is just going to be in for PVA. Another one that we have here, he's 4.5 though, is James Justin. So Ben Chilwell has gone to Chelsea. And we're not sure if Leicester's going to pick up an additional left back in Tagliafico from who's he play for? Is it Ajax? I think it is Ajax. They're not sure, so he might be playing in at left back instead of Chilwell, who's now left. But also they have Pereira out for another few weeks, so James Justin's almost certainly going to be playing in there somewhere in the back line. Whether they stay at a back 3 and he's a part of it, or he's playing as a wing back, or he's playing as a full back in a back 4, we will have to see. But he's definitely going to be a good pick there as well. There was one other, I think, that I was missing. Was I missing anything for me? No, that was it, I think. It was Ferguson, Mitchell, Johnson, and Branthwaite. Those are the 4 mainly looking at. Bernardo, he is their only real kind of fullback, I think, in terms of left backs, but they've been playing Burn there, so I don't expect him to get any games there. One interesting development though, just touching on defenders here. So Wolves, so Doherty has gone to Spurs, so he's not going to be there anymore. So Wolves need to get in somebody. So because they're going to have Johnny's out, who was their starting left wing back. Doherty is now gone to Spurs, and he was their starting right wing back. So they're basically without wing backs at the moment. So they're going to play Cody. They're going to play Roman Saiz. They're going to play Willy Bolly, but they're not, or Bennett. Now that he's back at Wolves, unless he goes back out on loan to Leicester. But none of these guys play wing back really, for the most part. Roman Saiz probably could do it, but not really a long-term solution. We know that Vinagre is going to be playing at left wing back. Kilman and Burr, not seeing too much of them, but whether they're long-term solutions, it'd be nice if the 4 million, that'd be great to get in the Wolves defense for 4 million. So could be very good there. In terms of cheap midfielders, let's put it back to midfielders. So playing 4.5 midfielders, you're going to have some that are quite obvious here. Stevens from Brighton. He might play over Basuma. They might play with both of them. It seemed like Basuma was starting to be favored towards the end of the season over Dale Stevens in that kind of sitting role. They're not going to get you many points. Not really much there. Smallbone, if he starts, does play as more of an attacking, wide midfielder. But again, it's if he starts, that those positions seem to be locked down by Armstrong and Redmond for the time being. But could be something there. Gordon is quite exciting because it seems like Ancelotti does favor him a little bit. So he could be someone who gets forward a little bit as he plays a right midfield role. He plays on either flank, but I think he favors the right-hand side. He could be someone in there as well. And then there was one other, I believe. I believe it was Fulham had somebody as well. Was it this guy, Harrison Reed? I remember it was somebody Reed. and he's going to Fulham. I don't know if he was transferred from Southampton or not, and he was starting. So let me just check Fulham's team really quickly here. No, I don't see anyone read here, but they were saying that he was a 4.5 starting midfielder, so maybe that's him there, that other guy. Harrison Reed, that's the one that they were talking about. He seems to be signed and going to Fulham, whether it be, I can't remember if it was on loan or if it was a permanent deal. But again, a 4.5 midfielder that is playing is always good. Now, he's not going to get you many points, but he is another 4.5 million midfielder option. You know, maybe he plays a little bit more attacking, and you get some points out of him. But again, he's a 4.5 midfielder, so don't expect too much out of him in that regard. And then in terms of forwards, again, much like the goalkeeper position for 4 million goalkeepers, we're not looking at anything too crazy here. You know, Davis and Brewster are really the only two that we're kind of looking at in terms of potential starts. Davis might be overshadowed by the likes of Wesley, who was out for a significant period of the last season. So Wesley will probably come back in as their lone striker. Even Samata and Davis have kind of shared time as well. So maybe not great there. The one interesting prospect is Brewster from Liverpool. If he gets a loan, he's apparently being touted by Sheffield United. He could go into Sheffield United's team and start up front for them. That'd be fantastic. 4.5 midfielder for Sheffield United. Could be quite interesting as a prospect there. Now, that's pretty much it for all the cheap options from the latest kind of developments. And there's been quite a few injuries that we're starting to see develop here. So, like we said, Ferguson injured, you know, was injured and is rehabbing his knee. Ziyech took a knock in their preseason game versus Brighton. And you could just see a bunch of different players, you know, one player drops here and there. Could see some other players potentially coming in for them, and we kind of have to look out for those at the moment. Dallas is another one that I've re-slotted back into the team just to kind of mention. He's somebody who, like, for Bielsa, played a lot of games. I mean a lot of games. So I think he was like up there with Mitrovic for like total minutes played. Like 3,000 plus minutes in the single season. And with them signing the center back, I think his name, pronounce it Coach or Koch, I think it's how it's pronounced. He came from the Bundesliga. He's coming in at center back to replace Ben White, who was on loan for them last season. And that would mean that Dallas is going to play in at left back most likely. Yeah, and then like you mentioned, Gunners, Trent's also questionable. Could be he didn't feature at all in the Charity Shield. Now, whether that's because he's on his way out to or you know, getting ready for international duty, and Klopp just said go and do that, then sure. Because the England team had a lot of, you know, people that weren't playing in it. So some notable names like I believe it was Abraham, Ross Barkley, Loftus-Cheek, Mason Mount, Rashford. There were so many names that were just listed off. Harry Maguire, another one, you know, that just weren't going to be in the team, that were named in the team. So because of whether they have to quarantine or if they have to, you know, they have a knock or whatever it may be. So, but I think, yeah, Dallas could be better than Eiling, because he's going to be that type of guy that when injuries start to be picked up, which he seems to be quite resilient to, he's going to be someone who's going to go from left back to center mid to right mid, you know, all these sorts of different places. And it's going to allow for him to pick up more points than a normal left back probably would. So I would say keep an eye out for Dallas. Also, another person that's under threat is Patrick Bamford. They just brought in, I believe his name is Rodrigo. I believe he came from Valencia. He came from La Liga, certainly. Very good goal scorer in his own right. Bamford has been known to miss some pretty big chances when he plays. So they want to bring in a goal scorer. Now, whether Bamford gets dropped immediately, we'll have to see on that one. But overall, I think that he wasn't really in anyone's options in the first place. If you're going to pick someone of a cheap forward that's coming from a relegated, or not a relegated team, a promoted team rather, you're probably looking at just Mitrovic, just because of the fact that everything runs through him. So it just makes the most sense to have Mitrovic, instead over the likes of Bamford. I toyed around with it in the beginning, but at the end realized that he does miss a lot of chances. Yes, he shoots a lot, and yes, he does a lot of good things for the team, and Bielsa might stick with him, but he's probably not going to be, the greatest overall. But yeah, let's get back to the kind of the lineup, the Community Shield, because that was really interesting there. So we did see Martinez, as we Gunners pointed out, who played. Now that could be again just like he's the cup goalkeeper again, so that's why he played in the Community Shield. Who he's also apparently being linked with a move away from the club as he wants game time. Then we have David Luiz played. We saw little bits from Cedric, who was basically awful, and second choice to Bellerin. Kolasinac, who came on, who wasn't very good either. Tierney looked very good. Maitland-Niles looked very good, playing at right wing back. He seems to be playing Tierney, or left wing back, sorry. He seems to be playing Tierney as a left, like an auxiliary left center back. And him and Maitland-Niles like interchange throughout the game, which is really weird. Excuse me. So basically what happens is like El Neni or Jacka, depending on what side of the ball is on, will drop into the back three, and then Tierney and Maitland-Niles will basically overload that left-hand side. Trying to bog down on the right back with just pace and just like passing it around him. So that was pretty interesting to see. So even though Tierney was lining up as like a left-sided center back, he definitely got forward quite a lot in that system. Holding was in there. He played quite well. Saliba started on the bench. I don't think he came on, but definitely we'll probably see him starting, as well as a Gabriel, who's their new signing as well. In terms of midfielders, didn't really expect to see much change. So they had Aubameyang was playing. Saka played as well, so at 5.5 could be very good. He did play out on the right, and Pepe wasn't in the squad entirely, so I'm not sure what happened there, whether it be a quarantine thing or maybe he picked up a knock or something like that. We don't know. Also Jacka, who's same as Saka, he's not going to be an FPL asset this season. Nelson came on, Willock came on. And they played on Nenny, who was a bit, it was good to see somebody doing quite well for Arsenal, coming back in the team after having a loan out or not playing in the team for a while. Because it seems like every time, somebody comes back in the Arsenal team that was, out for a while or not playing for a while, they play really badly. But Nenny did quite good in his own right. Nketiah was bright. But he had a couple of chances which he could have potentially scored. He could potentially be the starting forward at 6 million. With Lacazette having links away from the club as well. Could be something to watch out for there. Bit tired. Sunday evening. Gotta get in bed early tonight. Just kind of been waiting for the stream to happen, and not much football going on, so it's been a bit more on the boring side. But that's why we did the stream tonight instead of yesterday. We're supposed to do the other stream, but forgot that LCS was on. So, but anyway, moving back into it here. Let's talk about Liverpool's team. Got a little sidetracked there. So as normal, Alisson played. No Trent Alexander-Arnold, as we've mentioned, in the whole side. Robertson, Van Dijk, Gomez, and Williams played in that in that game as off the start. Interesting midfield though. They went with Wijnaldum, Fabinho, and Milner in midfield. Now, I'm not sure if that was due to fitness or something, or maybe some players have played recently, or they're trying to rest some people. But Keita came on and made the midfield look a lot different. So maybe he's going to be the one, as we mentioned previously, to be that kind of talisman in there. Minamino came on, got a goal as well. Did quite well. I'd see him being a bench option for pretty much most of the season, if not all of it. And Salah, unfortunately, he needs to grow his hair back so he can get his goal scoring tally back up. But he scored his penalty, so fair play to him. But Brewster came on, unfortunately, missed his penalty in the shootout, which is hard luck for such a young lad. But I think him getting a Premiership loan where he can get some good starting time for games like Sheffield United as an example, who needs someone who can score some goals for them, could be quite valuable for him and for our FPL team. So, but for the most part, it was pretty straightforward from both teams. They both went pretty strong. It was just the Liverpool's midfield looked a bit weird. Like I said, it could have been due to the fact that maybe some people started the previous preseason game where it was too close in proximity. So, but I expect their midfield going into the season to be Keita, probably Henderson and Fabinho, maybe something along those lines. Two more workmanlike in Fabinho and Henderson, with Keita being the attacking one, whereas the replacement of that midfield would be Chamberlain for Keita, would be Wijnaldum for Henderson, and then Henderson can swap with Fabinho potentially, and then you could put in Milner or something like that. There's a bunch of different things that they can really do with that midfield. But for the most part, pretty standard in terms of who was playing there. But yeah, it does worry me about Trent. I've seen some people with double Liverpool defense, and their defense doesn't look good. Arsenal for the first half of the game looked like they were in their element. Passing the ball around nicely. The movement for the goal was excellent. All started from passing out from the back. He went from Martinez to Holding to Maitland-Niles, around the corner to Saka, who played a crossfield to Aubameyang, who cut inside on his right foot and bang, slotted into the side netting. Around Alisson, bending it around him at the top of the 18 from left to right. So, yeah, it was a very, very good goal overall. And then Liverpool's was pretty scrappy. Outside of them scoring that goal, they didn't apart from the goal Van Dijk scored that was offside, they didn't really have anything going for them, to be perfectly honest. Which is a bit worrying, owning Salah as an example. Now, that being said, there's no City, no United, so he may just be one of those players where we just have him in for the first game week. Hopefully he does something against Leeds. And then maybe we get rid of him for a while, potentially. Who knows? We bring him back in for, Aston Villa away, or we bring him back in for Arsenal home. Like, the easiest thing we could do if you have Aubameyang and Salah to start off, get rid of Salah in game week 2, bring in Fernandes or whoever you choose from United, as they have Crystal Palace at home. Then you get rid of Aubameyang back for Salah when they go to play each other again. But I mean, who knows? Aubameyang scored against Liverpool. It pretty much was Liverpool's best back line. I mean, I know Trent's not in the team, but defensively, would Trent have really been able to stop Aubameyang cutting in like that? Not really, I don't think. So, we'll have to see. But maybe there's a communication thing there that broke down where Aubameyang was able to get into space, and who knows. But Trent can get caught upfield, so we'll have to see in that regard. And then we also had the game with Brighton and Chelsea. A lot of substitutes made in that game. Brilliantly worked goal created by Ziyech, who was out on the touchline, swung the ball in with his left, like a deep line cross from kind of swung into the box rather than like kind of a whipped cross like De Bruyne or Trent do from that position. In swinger, they kind of curve back towards the penalty spot, towards the goalkeeper can get it. Where Ziyech kind of put it in there, and then Hudson-Odoi, I think, was going for goal, but miscontrolled it and like hit it off, like tried to head it in, tapped it down, knocked it straight down to Werner, who just put it straight in the goal. And then Chelsea made a lot of subs and stuff, and Brighton scored late. And overall, it was just a kind of a test one where we can see that that Ziyech and Werner, they're just ridiculously good players. Like, Werner knew where he needs to be to score for the goal. Ziyech saw the chance to create an opportunity. And Ziyech does shoot a lot. So it's going to be something that for 8 million, he could be quite valuable. He could be scoring quite a bit just from shots from outside the box, because he's much like Riyad Mahrez in that regard. Mahrez does tend to shoot quite a bit. And when he does shoot, it's typically quite accurate. So for 8 million, could be quite valuable as a starter for Chelsea. We'll have to see what this knock is and how long it could put him out for. But overall, I think he could be quite a good asset, which is why we have him in the preview here. Another thing that people were mentioning on Twitter as well is that Son played through the middle in one of their preseason games. But again, unless Son plays in the front two with Kane, because Kane wasn't in the squad, because Kane's getting ready to go on England international duty. Son's not going to be outputting probably as much as Kane if Kane stays fit. Unless they're, like I said, playing alongside each other as a front two, and Son's running in past Kane, and Kane starts to play like Cam/CDM. So we'll have to see kind of how that plays out. But still keeping an eye on him nonetheless. But Kane is definitely still on our radar in terms of just value picks and what we can and cannot do. And then we'll have to see kind of how the defense shakes out. Maybe Mourinho goes with a back three to start the season, and he does play Doherty in his right wing back role, putting Ben Davies in a left wing back role. I know Rose is back in the side as well, so maybe he plays in over Davies, or Rose gets the loan back out, who knows. But I think that Spurs is still heavily under consideration in terms of what they can and cannot bring, and how flexible their team is going to be overall. Just strictly due to the fact that they have so many different options in terms of like just attack wise and how they want to play. Because if they're playing a back three, then you're sacrificing one, at bare minimum, one of Lucas Moura, Lamela, Bergwijn, or Heung-min Son. Like, one of those definitely is not playing. Because if you have three center backs, you have let's say Rose on one side, Doherty on the other side. He's going to play Winks and Sissoko sitting, and then he's going to have or maybe he plays Lo Celso sitting. Lo Celso and Winks, and then he plays he plays Ali in behind Son and Kane. Then you're looking at Bergwijn and more on both, and Lamela all on the bench. So it's a bit interesting, but we know that Kane will play every game, assuming Kane's fit, which is why he's the most valuable player in terms of price point, which is why he definitely is still in our considerations. Basically, what we'd have to do is we'd have to drop the likes of Ings. We have 0.5 in the bank with this team, by the way. We would drop Ings, and we could drop Ziyech down to Foden or somebody like that, just a 6.5 midfielder. And then we would just play Aubameyang, Gordon, Salah, St. Maximin, Werner, Mitrovic, Ings, and then we play Trent, Vinagre, and Justin off the start. And if Gordon doesn't play, well, then one of the defenders comes on, whether it be Ferguson or whoever, and it would be fine. And the transfers would basically suit themselves. We wouldn't need to bring in a Man City player because we would already have one in our team. And what we would do is do the same thing. We would take Salah out in game week 2 for a Man United player, and we would take Aubameyang out if we wanted to bring Salah back in, or we'd take Aubameyang out and bring in whoever else it may be. in that big rotation spot. And that's what it's going to be all about. I think I see a lot of teams, like, I'll just show you an example of it. So I've seen a lot of teams going, like, let's say they don't want Salah in the opening game week, and they go for, let's go with something like this. We'll go. I'm just gonna put somebody. Where can I boost up just something else, maybe? I'll just put Doherty in just for now, just because he's 6 million. So I see a lot of teams going for potentially something like that as well. So where they have no money in the bank, you know, they have a much more balanced midfield. They have one premium. They have two premium forwards. The problem is that the players that you want to be swapping in and out are going to be premium midfielders. So if you think of the players that are in the premium midfield spot, you got Aubameyang, Salah, Sadio Mane, Sterling, De Bruyne, Rashford, because 9 plus is effectively premium. Bruno Fernandes, Heung-min Son. That's 8 already right there that you have to swap in and out, basically. In terms of forwards, out of the ones that you potentially would want, Kane, Vardy, Werner, and maybe Aguero, right? But again, Aguero is still coming back to fitness. He is a rotation risk as well. So that's 4 versus 8. So do you really need 2 premium forward slots who are going to get you less points, and you're probably going to want to captain a midfielder anyway? I don't see it. Like, it's all well and good to go for the double Liverpool defense if you want to go for Salah as well. I just think that the price point, again, because this season's all about price points with Aubameyang in there and these types of players at 12 million or 11.5 million or these expensive midfielders. If, let's say, hypothetically, you know, you go without a Man United player or something on Crystal Palace, right? They play Crystal Palace. Man City come in and, you know, Kevin De Bruyne, when he plays Wolves, gets a penalty and 2 assists or something like that. Because Wolves defense is bad because Doherty's no longer there or something like that. And Johnny's out. You know. Then you're going to be looking at, well, I got to bring in De Bruyne. And I got to bring in Bruno Fernandes now because he's, you know, United's getting penalties because that's what United do. And he scores all of them. So how am I going to bring them both in 2 moves? You can't. In Game Week 3, you just can't. Whereas if you have the 2 price points, if you have these 2 price points, you can just go, okay, Salah out, Aubameyang out, because we think that Salah is, you know, his fixtures are, you know, he's going to play Arsenal at home. You think maybe you can take him out for a game and then reassess someplace else, or maybe you favor just Kevin De Bruyne just is better. Who knows? Bang! You could just take them both out, bring in De Bruyne and Fernandes right off the bat, or hypothetically, let's say, you know, if Salah or Mane gets injured, and then they're going to be out for several weeks, you might think to yourself, well, Liverpool in general probably isn't going to score as many goals now. So everything's going to go through that one player in terms of Salah or Mane. You can think one way you could think is, I'll bring them in because I know everything's going through them. Or you can go the opposite mind and you can say, well, I don't think they're going to be nearly as good without this guy in their team because they don't have that dual threat on either flank. Maybe I should take them out and bring in somebody else. So, could be quite interesting there. And then another thing is, what if Greenwood's firing? You know, with the other formation, yes, you can change to that. But in this case, you know, let's say Greenwood's firing, you can easily just downgrade him straight to Ziyech. No problem. With this current amount of money in a team like this, that's why it's always nice to keep 0.5 or maybe even $1 million in the bank. Potential price changes. We know that Ings, we want him from Crystal Palace away. But is Tottenham at home, Burnley away necessarily good fixtures? Probably not. They're okay, but they're not great. He can easily be upgraded. This could be our United transfer one time. No problems about it. We know Martial's 9 million. We know he's going to play the following he's going to start, and he's got Crystal Palace at home, Brighton away. Next 2 fixtures. Sound. Then maybe you think Tottenham at home, Newcastle away, Chelsea at home, Arsenal at home. That's a bit rougher. Well, maybe we, after those 2 games, you could bring Ings back in. And then Ings has West Brom at home, very good. Chelsea away, not great. Everton at home, fantastic. Aston Villa away, fantastic. And then Newcastle at home. So then by then you can be thinking, okay, now we're looking at midfield again. You know, maybe there's some injuries here and there, and there's some things you could potentially shift around. Your team's probably got a little bit extra money, and then you could start working with some midfielders. Who knows? By that time, Jadon Sancho could be a thing for Manchester United. We don't know. Maybe Donnie Van Der Beek's come in because, you know, Pogba's got an injury. And he comes in at 8 million. Or something like that. Something cheap. Straight swap for Ziyech or something like that. Maybe United go back to just blasting teams away. Because their run of fixtures is quite good in spurts. So, like, first 4 fixtures are pretty good. Like, Spurs at home is notoriously a decent game for United. But these 4 are really good. Chelsea at home could prove tricky. Arsenal at home could prove tricky. Everton away has proven tricky in recent times. These 3 should be fine. Southampton away is a bit tricky, though. Then it's a bit on the rough side in these 5. So, City at home, Sheffield United away, Leeds at home, Leicester away, Wolves at home. Not great. Then a couple good ones again. So, it all depends. City's fixtures are also like this as well. Good in patches. But not really long, sustained periods. So, you know, people will say Wolves away. Always been relatively tricky for City. Leicester at home, probably pretty good. Leeds away, pretty good. Arsenal home could be good. West Ham away could be good. But then Sheffield United away. I know they just they beat them recently fairly comfortably. Liverpool at home, maybe they've got their defense sorted out by then. Spurs away, Mourinho's always seemed to have that mental fortitude against Guardiola. Burnley at home could prove to be quite tricky. And then they have a decent patch. But that's during the Christmas period where there's a lot of rotation. So, could be interesting there. Lastly, in terms of the major signings, so we talked about that Reed guy who's going to Fulham, who's 4.5. But Donnie Van Der Beek, so what can we expect out of him if he comes in at Manchester United? Obviously, it's not official by the club yet, but it seems to be relatively certain that it's going to happen. People think he's going to be playing in the 6th role. Again, he's much like Paul Pogba in that if he comes in at like an 8 million, 8.5 million price tag, is he going to provide enough from that role where you would just rather have Fernandes who's on penalties and on free kicks and that sort of stuff? We'll have to see. He may start from the bench in most games as well, because Ole likes to play Bruno, Pogba, plus Fred/Matic. Now, is Van Der Beek going to come in and play the CDM role like he did a little bit when he played at Ajax last season when De Jong left for Barcelona? Very possible. But we'll have to see in that regard. I expect Doherty to go in, slot him one time at Spurs, whether it's in at right back. If it's at right wing back, he's definitely a consideration because that means it creates space and width for the likes of Son and Kane to be more central. and get forward, which is good. And he does more. He'll do more of the defensive work, whereas Son and Kane kind of just sit forward. And the creativity will come from them as well as the deep lying central midfielders in the likes of Lo Celso and that sort. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. But one thing I would say as kind of a key point from what we learned over the past like the week or so is the fact that you want to be bringing in players into your team or want to have a team set up to whereas you're going to think, if this team plays a weaker opposition, or if this team scores, who's going to be most likely among the goals? That's who you're going to have to be thinking about. That's why St. Maximin is so good at, when he's fit for Newcastle, he's pretty much in and around the ball in terms of assists and goals when he's fit. Same for Mitrovic. Just he's always involved in the goals when he plays for Fulham and they score. Ings, another one for Southampton. Salah, obviously, if Milner's not on the field, he takes penalties too. Aubameyang, always is scoring. You got to kind of think of these types of players. So, Jamie Vardy as an example. If you're gonna have a Leicester forward, probably him as a sure shot thing. He's gonna start every game. But if Iheanacho's starting, then there's kind of some debate there. Harvey Barnes, another one that's kind of on the cusp of being there for Leicester. Man United, Fernandes, Martial, Rashford, these types of players, they're in and around it. Phil Foden, if he plays regularly, could be amazing. Because it seemed like towards the last few games of the season, Pep's really, really favored him. So we'll have to see. But yeah, just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, kind of thinking, who are the real talisman? Who are the real key players? Who are the new signings coming in for these clubs? Because most times when somebody signs someone for a club, typically they're for the first team. They're not like Man City where they're just going to buy people and put them on their bench half the time. Mind you, who knows? City could bring in Messi and start him on the bench. We don't know. And that's probably, I would say, probably the one last thing. If Messi does leave Barcelona and he goes to Manchester City, you got to think of a plan to potentially get him in. Let's say, it's first week of October. Window's almost about to close. Messi's been trying to get a deal done. And all of a sudden, bang, Messi signed for Man City. You got to think of a way to get a 14 million pound midfielder into your team. Because we know Messi's going to play. And we know Messi's arguably one of the best, if not the best, player to ever basically kick a football, really. And if you don't have, the Aubameyang and Salah like duo or trio, I think duo is probably the best because it allows your team to be a bit more balanced. If you don't have these types of players, you can't easily get up to that without sacrificing the one player that you have. So let's say if I don't have Salah, if I have somebody else in there, I'm just going to put Foden in as an example, and we'll just pretend like I don't have 6 million in the bank. If I only have that 112 million, but like, let's say, let's go into, we'll go into, October. First week of October, Aubameyang leads away, or, who am I clicked? I clicked on Foden. Where's Ziyech? October, Crystal Palace at home, Southampton at home, Man United away, Burnley away. Could potentially be some decent fixtures for Chelsea. If that was an expensive midfielder, how are you going to get from Ziyech all the way up to Messi? That's an additional, 6 million that you have to put on top of it? Yes, I know I have 6 million here, but I'm saying, hypothetically. Let's say this was... let's say it's game week. We've made some transfers. We're going along. It's this little spell here for Fernandes where he could potentially score in all of these games. There are home fixtures versus Spurs and Chelsea, which United have shown they've been quite good against those teams recently. Newcastle away is pretty straightforward for United as well. You don't really want to necessarily get rid of Fernandes, especially if he's on form and scored 2-3 goals in the first few games. To get rid of him for Messi. And if you only have just him and you're like, damn, I got to get rid of Foden and I got to add, how much that is, 8 million or something crazy like that. to get up to Messi or somebody. So again, just some food for thought there as well. But yeah, so the next stream will be let's see. I think I'm gonna do it on, I think Saturday probably, and then that'll line up with the so Saturday the 5th will probably be the next one, I think. I'll put a tweet out for like the weekly content thing. But yeah, it'll probably be next week Saturday, and then we'll have one for the deadline as well. So yeah. So yeah, that's going to do it for this stream today. Hope you all enjoyed it. Make sure to give us a follow on all of our platforms as well. We're going to have some videos coming this week as well. I believe one of them is goalkeeper strategies. So there's obviously some different ways that you can play that. That's going to be one of the videos there as well. And there was another FPL video. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Oh, it was things that you shouldn't do in FPL, like 5 things that you should or shouldn't do in FPL. So make sure to look forward to those as well. And like I said, the stream will be there as well. And then in the game week, or the week leading up to the start of the league, we'll have our normal captaincy video. Who you should be looking to captain in game week 1. We'll be looking at some drafts that I'm will be like 3 drafts that I'm kind of like thinking about. I'll have my team news out the day before, and then we'll have the deadline stream on the 12th, an hour before the deadline, which will be what, 2.5 hours before kickoff, I think, because that's how they've set the deadline. So it says game week 1 is 7. Yeah, hour and a half, because Fulham Arsenal kick off 8:30 in the morning my time. So yeah, that's how it's gonna work out. So it'll be, geez, that's gonna be a nice early day. That's gonna be a nice 6 a.m. My time, which is 5 a.m. EST kickoff time, or like stream start time. So that's gonna be real early for those that want to get up. But again, it is the first game week, and you want to get your team right, because this is one of the 3 times normally that you get to change your team for free going forward. So you have the beginning of the season, and you have your 2 wild cards. So yeah, so there'll be lots to talk about there, and a lot of people will be saying, who should I get in for this team, and should I have Man United players to start, and we'll answer all those questions here in the live chat. I'll make sure to put a video out as well saying when I go to like say this is my team tentatively the day before, to check out our stream as well. So make sure to do that. And yeah, it was a good one. Not as long as what we normally do. The internet seemed to have held up quite nicely, as it's been acting up all day. So had a little bit of bad weather in the area. So hopefully it maintains itself, and we can have some good content and some good streams going up as well. I'm going to be busy this coming week, but we'll still get the content out for sure, and keep the quality up high as always, and progress even better as the weeks go on. But yeah, that's going to do it for this stream. Make sure to follow us on all the different platforms as mentioned, and until the next one,